The film begins at Humboldt Prison in California, where a biker gang member named Peter Maddog Flanagan, serving a life sentence for murder, frequently bullies a new inmate, Tim Kearney. One day, after enduring enough abuse, Tim snaps and kills Maddog by slashing his throat with a license plate. Tim has been in and out of jail since he was 15. At one point, he was given a court-ordered stint in the Marines and deployed to Iraq. Although he earned the Navy Cross for bravery, he was dishonorably discharged after assaulting an Iraqi colonel. After returning to the U.S., he was arrested again for attacking a convenience store clerk. While serving time, Tim is approached by DEA agents Tad Grusza and Jorge Escobar with an offer. Impersonate a legendary drug dealer named Bobby Z, who he closely resembles, in exchange for his freedom. Bobby had vanished after two of his top men were found dead in a drainage ditch. However, it turns out Bobby is still secretly controlling his drug empire from behind the scenes. Bobby's powerful rival, Don Huertero, the most influential drug lord in northern Mexico, is pushing to make a deal with him and is advancing toward Los Angeles. Huertero is holding Grusza's partner, Art Marino, hostage in Mexico and agrees to trade Marino for Bobby Z. The problem is, Bobby recently died of a heart attack in Thailand, and Huertero has never actually seen him in person, making Tim the perfect double. Though hesitant, Tim agrees to the risky impersonation to secure his freedom. After giving Tim a complete makeover, the DEA agents provide him with a detailed briefing on Bobby Z's background and lifestyle. They hand him photos of two women who were close to Bobby, Elizabeth and Olivia, and emphasize that he needs to be familiar with them. Once everything is set, Tim is transported to San Remo, near the U.S.-Mexico border, for the exchange. The agents also give him the name of a key contact, Monk, Bobby's chief of operations and a man known for his brilliant math skills. When Huertero's men arrive for the trade, something goes wrong. During the exchange, Grusza unexpectedly tries to shoot Tim, but Tim stumbles and falls onto a railroad track, avoiding the shot by chance. In the chaos, Grusza shoots Escobar, revealing his betrayal. A gunfight erupts. One of Huertero's men pulls back Marino and shoots him. As a train roars past, Tim uses the distraction to escape and hides in nearby bushes. When the train is gone, Huertero's men have disappeared. And as Grusza prepares to leave, one of the remaining cartel members finds Tim and holds him at gunpoint, mistaking him for Bobby Z. Tim later wakes up, dazed, in a luxurious mansion in Adobe, Guadalupe, Mexico. A servant brings him fine clothes, and outside, he sees a lively pool party in progress. There he spots Elizabeth with a young boy named Kit. Their eyes meet. Shortly after, Tim is introduced to Brian Servier, Huertero's right-hand man. Brian explains that Huertero would have welcomed him in person, but is currently occupied and will be arriving later that weekend. That night, Tim has a private conversation with Elizabeth and learns that the boy she was with earlier is actually Bobby Z's son with Olivia. Later, when Tim returns to his room, he finds Elizabeth already waiting for him. They sleep together, rekindling a past intimacy. Afterwards, Elizabeth confides that Huertero plans to kill Bobby as soon as he arrives, information she overheard from Brian. As Tim prepares to flee, Kit catches him sneaking out and begs to come along. Feeling a sense of responsibility for the boy, Tim agrees. They find a horse and make their escape. Brian spots them leaving and quickly orders his men to give chase. Tim hides Kit in the bushes and takes out the pursuing gunmen one by one. He then steals a dirt bike, picks up Kit, and rides away. While traveling down a remote road, the dirt bike runs out of fuel, forcing them to continue on foot. As they cross a desert area, a plane sent by Brian starts dropping explosives. Tim and Kit manage to take cover behind some rocks, but their position has already been exposed. Soon a team of armed men arrives, but Tim fights them off one by one and escapes with Kit. Back at the mansion, Elizabeth is tied to a bed and interrogated by Brian for revealing Huertero's plans. When Huertero arrives and learns of the botched operation, he violently beats Brian for his failure. It's revealed that Elizabeth was the best friend of Olivia, Huertero's late daughter. Enraged, Huertero threatens to disfigure Elizabeth if she doesn't bring Bobby back. He also warns his top enforcer, Mr. Johnson, that he will be killed if he fails to retrieve Bobby alive. To punish Brian, he has him tied to a car and dragged away. Then he sends Elizabeth to track down Bobby herself. Meanwhile, Grusza makes a call to a member of the Maddog biker gang and informs their leader, Duke, Maddog's brother, about Tim's last known location. In response, Duke sends his Boom Boom, his explosive expert and assassin, to track Tim down. Meanwhile, Tim and Kit arrive in a small town and rent a secluded cabin. Tim contacts Monk, who is lounging on a boat with several women. Initially, Monk doesn't recognize him, but Tim's knowledge of Bobby convinces Monk that he's the real deal. They agree to meet at Monk's house the next day, where Monk will provide a passport and cash for Tim's escape. Back at the cabin, Johnson manages to trace Tim's location and sneaks in through a window, waiting inside for Tim's return. However, Johnson is unaware that Boom Boom is already nearby and has planted an explosive at the cabin's entrance. When Tim and Kit return from town, Tim senses something is off. Just before entering, he pulls Kit back. At that moment, Johnson opens the door, triggering the bomb. The explosion kills him instantly. Boom Boom, hiding nearby, opens fire on Tim, who manages to take cover. As Boom Boom pauses to reload, Tim charges at him, overpowers him, and holds him at gunpoint. Showing mercy, Tim chooses to spare Boom Boom's life and takes off on his motorcycle with Kit. While traveling, Tim and Kit make a quick stop and break into a beach house in El Morro Beach, California. Tim leaves Kit there for safety and heads off to meet Monk at his house. As he approaches, he nearly blows his cover when an old friend, Wayne, recognizes him and calls him by name. Inside Monk's house, Tim reunites with Elizabeth, who reveals that she's known all along that he's not Bobby. Tim confirms her suspicions. Bobby is dead. She warns him not to meet Monk, fearing Monk will quickly see through the impersonation. Outside the house, Grusza has arrived and is meeting with Duke. Grusza informs him that Tim is inside, but Duke reveals something of his own. He knows that Grusza's partner was killed near the border and that Grusza is planning to kill him too. Duke makes it clear he doesn't trust Grusza and knows the agent is cleaning up loose ends. Back inside Monk's house, Elizabeth quietly reveals to Monk that Tim is an imposter and that the real Bobby Z is dead. Aware that Monk has always had feelings for her, she suggests they run away together and leave everything behind. Later, Tim brings Elizabeth to the beach house where he left Kid, only to find Huertero and his men already inside holding Kid hostage. The cartel members draw their weapons on Tim. Then Huertero reveals a tragic truth. His daughter Olivia took her own life. Enraged and seeking revenge, he orders his men to kill Kid, knowing he's Bobby Z's son. But Elizabeth steps in and reveals a shocking truth. Kid isn't just Bobby Z's son, he's Huertero's grandson. Olivia had been pregnant with Kid when she ran away from Huertero years ago. Stunned, Huertero changes his orders and tells his men to bring Kit home instead. Tim warns Huertero that if they don't release Kit, he'll kill every man in the room. Huertero and his men laugh off the threat, until Kit creates a distraction, allowing Tim to strike. He takes out the nearest men, shoots 2 others, and engages in a brutal fight with a larger enforcer. Elizabeth attempts to attack Huertero, but is thrown aside. After defeating the last fighter, Tim turns to face Huertero, who raises his gun to shoot, only for Elizabeth to step in and shoot Huertero first, killing him. Meanwhile, at a motel room elsewhere, Grusza enters and meets with none other than the real Bobby Z, alive and well. It's revealed that Grusza has been working with Bobby the entire time. They staged Tim's death at the border to fake Bobby's demise. Grusza casually mentions that Bobby has a child, but Bobby shows no interest. At the marina, Elizabeth meets Monk, who brings a bag full of cash. She informs him that Huertero is dead. Confused, Monk asks why they're still running if both Bobby and Huertero are gone. Just then, Tim appears and holds Monk at gunpoint. He tosses Monk a portion of the money and tells him to disappear. Before they can leave, a group of armed bikers led by Duke, Maddog's brother, arrives and opens fire. Tim flees toward a nearby bridge, but quickly finds himself surrounded. Desperate, he tries to convince them he's actually Bobby Z, not Tim Kearney. Nearby, Grusza and the real Bobby Z arrive in a car, watching the standoff unfold. Tim spots them and cleverly points to the car, claiming that Tim Kearney is inside. The bikers order Grusza and Bobby to step out of the vehicle. Both Tim and Bobby start accusing each other of being the real Tim Kearney, confusing the gang about who to shoot. Just then, Elizabeth speeds up in a boat near the shore with Kit on board. Kit shouts "Dad" to Tim. Realizing that the real Tim Kearney has no son, Duke and his men turn their guns at Bobby and shoot him down. Grusza tries to retaliate, but the bikers quickly gun him down as well. With sirens in the distance and police on the way, the surviving gang members flee. Tim leaps off the bridge into the water and swims to Elizabeth's boat, finally reuniting with his new family, free at last. If you enjoyed this video, don't be shy to hit the like button, and if you disliked it, hit the dislike button twice just to be sure. It would be best if you watched the whole movie. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe for more videos like this.